On this episode of China Uncensored, wow, some crazy things happened in 2015. Hi, welcome to China Uncensored. I'm your host, Chris Chappell. Well, it's that time of year again. The end of the year, to be exact. The time when we all look back and try to make sense of what went wrong. But before we crack out the leftover eggnog and reflect on the missed opportunities that are now gone forever, let's take a look back at the 10 biggest stories from China in 2015. Number 10. Beijing awarded the 2022 Olympics. Remember when China promised to clean up its Human Rights Act ahead of the 2008 Summer Olympics? Well, they sort of did. I mean, they cleaned up the streets by taking pesky citizens off the streets and locking them up. But jailing political prisoners didn't discourage the International Olympic Committee in July this year from awarding China the 2022 Winter Olympics. Not that they had many options. The only other contender was Kazakhstan, a country known primarily for the fictional character Borat, and for the very real suppression of human rights. So why not pick China? Sure, there's almost no snow in Beijing, but why not pick China? Plus, China is already the gold medal champion of making fake goods. In fact, they've already started practicing. Just listen to their official Olympic song.
A kingdom of isolation, and it looks like I'm the queen.
Sorry, that was Let It Go from Disney's Frozen. Here's their official Olympic song.
一幅画，整装待发，约定天地之大。It's funny how some distance makes everything seem small.
一个家，五彩肤色，绽放和平之花。
Number 9. Chinese doctor wins the Nobel Prize. In October, Dr. Tu Youyou became the first female Chinese doctor to win the Nobel Prize. It was for discovering a cure for malaria back in the 70s. A little late? Well, only for the millions of people who died each year from malaria for 30 years while waiting for the cure to be made public. Dr. Tu found an herb that traditional Chinese medicine used to treat malaria 2,000 years ago. So she refined it into a usable drug. For human trials, she tested it on herself. Number 8. The social credit system. That name should fill you with an Orwellian terror. That's what the Communist Party is calling their new rating system. It's like Yelp, only instead of evaluating restaurants, it evaluates people. Every single one of China's 1.3 billion citizens, that is. By 2020, this national government database will judge you on things like your credit, whether or not you have a criminal record, what kind of things you buy online, what books you read, your social media behavior. Oh, and of course, the ratings of your friends and family. So what happens if your social credit is bad? Well, people are gonna see that when you apply for a job, or housing, or a loan. You don't want to have a questionable person working for you, do you? One that might bring down your own credit rating? Anyway, this new social credit system is sure to be double plus good. Number 7. Meeting your doppelganger. In November, the Chinese president met the other Chinese president. And one of those presidents, people actually voted for. In yet another linguistically confusing chapter of the One China policy, a policy that says Taiwan is part of China, but doesn't specify which government is the legitimate government, the unelected Chinese president, Xi Jinping, met the democratically elected Chinese president, Ma Ying-jeou. It's the first time the two sides met since the end of the Chinese Civil War in 1949. Number 6. The year of hacking. You really ought to update your computer software, because the failure of the US government's Office of Personnel Management to do just that opened the door to a massive cyber attack from some foreign entity. The hackers stole the personal data of 4.2 million current and former federal employees. And then we learned the number was actually 22 million. Yes, 1 in every 15 Americans is now in this hacker's database. Information that, in the wrong hands, well, let's just say this is not good. So who was behind the attacks? Well, we don't know for sure, but...
What countries are attacking the United States as we sit here in cyberspace? Well, I don't want to give you a complete list, but I can tell you at the top of the list is the Chinese.
Number 5. There's no better way to ring in the new year than with a red alert, warning that your nation's capital has air too hazardous to breathe. This is what Beijing looked like at the beginning of December. Man, those aunties won't stop dancing for anything. This was the first official red alert from Beijing's new warning system. And in November, in another city, pollution was even worse. On a pollution scale of 1 to 500, 500 being really, really hazardous, the city of Shenyang reached 1,400. Pollution is so thick, Chinese people can't even see the pollution documentary Under the Dome by former CCTV reporter Cha Jing. Just kidding. It's because the Chinese government censored it. Number 4, stock market crash. China's stock market skyrocketed earlier this year, and then in June, it crashed. In China, most stock buyers are individual people, workers, retirees, etc. And a lot of them were first-time investors who put money in the market because state-run media told them to. And a lot of them even borrowed money to buy stocks, something called margin trading, because state-run media told them to. When the markets crashed, they couldn't pay back what they borrowed, which is why, to help solve the financial crisis, the government recommended people borrow more money to buy stocks. This hasn't worked very well so far. Number 3, the Tianjin chemical explosion. On August 12th, a pair of chemical explosions rocked the northern Chinese city of Tianjin. The cause is still unknown, and by unknown, I mean we only know what the Chinese state-run media told us. It involved a warehouse storing toxic chemicals. And they didn't even tell us that right away. In fact, initially, there was a total media blackout. Censors deleted thousands of posts about the blast on social media. According to official statistics, 800 people were injured and almost 200 died. Number 2, now you can have a brother or sister. At the end of October, China finally repealed the one-child policy. The policy had led to mass infanticide and forced abortion. Oh, and it failed in its most basic goal, to balance China's population. After 30 years, China now has too many old people that can't be supported by the younger generation. But now that the one-child policy has been repealed, things are way better, because now you can have 2 kids instead of 1. Granted, there'll still be the same overbearing government presence in people's lives, like work units monitoring female workers' menstrual cycles, and the fines and forced abortions will also continue. But now you can have up to 2 kids. And finally, number 1, Zhou Yongkang sentenced to life. Years ago, I said Chinese leader Xi Jinping would take out his political rival Zhou Yongkang. It would be unprecedented. Zhou was a member of the Politburo Standing Committee. You don't get much higher than that in the Communist Party. And that the next step could be Zhou Yongkang facing a fate similar to Bo. The fools, they laughed at me, but who's laughing now? You see, Zhou Yongkang held a lot of power. He was the head of China's internal security network for years, which meant he controlled a police force with a budget larger than even the Chinese army. And he amassed that power primarily through helping former Chinese leader Jiang Zemin run his brutal campaign to suppress Falun Gong. What's the point of a massive security apparatus if you can't torture some religious dissidents? Am I right? Zhou was the biggest tiger to be hit in Xi Jinping's anti-corruption campaign. In June 2015, he got sentenced to life in prison. Again, he was one of the 9 most powerful men in China. Will we see something similar happen to Jiang Zemin next year? Let's just say I don't think Xi Jinping will let old acquaintance be forgot. So what do you think will be in store for China and the rest of the world in 2016? Leave your thoughts in the comments section below, and thank you for making this the best year for China Uncensored yet. You're the best audience on YouTube. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas, and a very Merry Christmas to the factory workers in Yiwu, a town in eastern China's Zhejiang province, because they've been working on Christmas since January. The fear is this new gene will get passed around along with other antibiotic-resistant genes that could eventually create a pan-drug resistant bacteria. In other words, a bacteria that can't be killed by anything we throw at it.